Welcome to 21st Sports Recap and Reaction for the New York Giants at the New Orleans Saints in their Week 8 matchup, played November 1st, 2015. We're going to go over all the scores and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis for this insane game. And what a game it was. As it would turn out, we would see the third highest scoring game in the history of the NFL, as Drew Brees would tie the record for the most passing touchdowns in a game. We also saw the most offensive touchdowns in a game. It was crazy. There was 14 total touchdowns in this game. 13 of them were offensive. But let's start off in the first quarter. At the 9.5-minute mark left in the first, Odell Beckham Jr. scored the game's first touchdown with a 2-yard pass from Eli Manning, and it was 7-0 after the extra point by Josh Brown. The Giants in the lead early on. But then the Saints strike back as Drew Brees hit Willie Snead for a 34-yard touchdown. Kai Forbath hit the extra point, and this game was tied at 7 midway through. Then with about 2.5 minutes still left in the first, Drew Brees hits Brandon Cooks for a 26-yard touchdown. Forbath adds the extra point, and it was now 14-7 as the Saints took the lead for the first time in this game. So that did it for the first. Now in the second quarter, just a minute and a half in, Odell Beckham Jr. catches his second touchdown pass of the game. This one a 1-yard pass from Eli Manning. Brown hits the extra point, and this game is tied up once again, this time at 14. Then with 11 minutes left before halftime, Drew Brees hits Marquise Colston for a 53-yard touchdown. Forbath adds the extra point, and it's 21-14 with the Saints up by a touchdown. Then with less than 2 minutes left in the first half, Drew Brees hit Willie Snead for a 2-yard touchdown, and it was now 28-14 after the extra point by Forbath. And then with just seconds left on the clock, Eli Manning hit Shane Vereen for a 2-yard touchdown, and it was now 21-28 after Brown hit the extra point as the Giants trailed by a touchdown heading into the locker rooms at halftime. So 3 touchdown passes for Eli and 4 touchdown passes for Drew Brees in the first half. Now in the second half, 2 minutes in, Eli Manning hits Odell Beckham Jr. for a 50-yard touchdown. Brown adds the extra point, and this game is tied up once again, this time at 28 apiece. But the Saints didn't waste much time coming back, as they would score just 3 minutes later as Drew Brees threw his 5th touchdown pass of the game. This one a 21-yard pass to Brandon Cooks with 10 minutes left in the third. Forbath kicked the extra point, and it was now 35-28 as the Saints were back up by a touchdown. Then fast forward to just 30 seconds left in the third, and Brees throws his 6th touchdown pass of the game. This one to Big Ben Watson, a 20-yard touchdown. Forbath adds the extra point, and it was now 42-28 as the Saints extended their lead to 14. So that was the score after 3 quarters of play. And then the Giants went off in the fourth, scoring 21 straight points. First off, with 12 minutes left in the game, Eli Manning hit Dwayne Harris for a 9-yard touchdown. That made it 42-35 as the Giants cut the Saints' lead to 7. Then, with about 9.5 minutes left in the fourth, Eli Manning hits Dwayne Harris again, this time a 20-yard touchdown. Brown adds the extra point, and this game is tied up at 42 apiece. Then with 7 minutes left, Trumaine McBride returned a fumble, 63 yards for the touchdown for the Giants, the only defensive touchdown of the game. Brown added the extra point, and now the Giants were up by a touchdown as the Giants were now in the lead for the first time since the first score back in the first quarter when they were up 7-0, with the score now 49-42 with the G-Men in the lead. But then the Saints, as it looked like time was running out, but with 36 seconds left after a 14-play drive that went 80 yards in 6.5 minutes, Drew Brees hit C.J. Spiller for a 9-yard touchdown. And with the extra point by Forbath, it was tied up once again, this time at 49. So it looked like this game might be going to overtime, but the Giants would get the ball instead of just letting the clock run out. They ended up going 3 and out, and so they would have to punt the ball. But then on the punt, there was a face mask penalty, and with the face mask penalty, that set up the Saints in position to go for a field goal. So just 5 seconds on the clock, and the Saints on the New York 32, because of the penalty, now Forbath would come out to attempt a 50-yard field goal, and it was up, and it was good. And the Saints win in a walk-off with the kick, the field goal by Forbath, a 50-yarder to win 52-49. As these two teams combined for 101 points, 14 touchdowns, 13 offensive touchdowns. As Drew Brees ties the record with 7 touchdown passes in the game. Eli Manning had 6 touchdown passes in the game. If you had either one in fantasy, then you had a good week. But what an insane game, back and forth, down to the wire. The Saints pull off the comeback win. It looked like, they had this one won, but then the Giants scored 21 points to open up the fourth quarter, 21 straight to take the lead for the first time since the first quarter, and then Drew Brees in the final minute leads the Saints to 10 points to win it. What a crazy finish. And Drew Brees in this game, 40 for 50, 511 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Eli Manning, 30 for 41, 350 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. We look at on the ground, Mark Ingram, 16 carries for 80 yards. Ingram also had 4 receptions for 39 yards, as he had 119 total yards in the game. For the Giants, Rashad Jennings, 10 carries for 53 yards. He also had 2 receptions for 31 yards, which gave him 85 total yards in the game. Let's look at the receiving stats, and there's a lot of them. Big Ben Watson, the tight end for New Orleans, 9 receptions, 147 yards, and a touchdown. Marquise Colston, 8 receptions, 114 yards, and a touchdown. Brandon Cooks, 6 receptions, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. Willie Snead, 7 receptions, 76 yards, and 2 touchdowns. CJ Spiller, 2 receptions, 15 yards, and a touchdown. Spiller also had 4 carries for 21 yards, which gave him a total of 36 yards in the game. And now for the Giants, Odell Beckham Jr., ODB, 8 receptions for 130 yards and 3 touchdowns. Shane Vereen, 8 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown. He also had 2 carries for 3 yards. Ruben Randall, 5 receptions for 55 yards. And Dwayne Harris, 3 receptions for 37 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let me look at the kickers. John Brown, 7 for 7 on the extra points. And Kai Forbath, 7 for 7 on the extra points and 1 for 1 on the field goals. That game-winning 50-yarder as a walk-off. And we look at the defense for the Giants. Rogers Cromartie had an interception and a forced fumble. And for the Saints, Bird had a forced fumble. Humber had a sack. Adebali had a sack as well. We look at the first downs. 36 first downs for the Saints. Usually that's the total between two teams, but 36 first downs for the Saints, 24 through the air, 11 on the ground, 28 first downs for the Giants. Then we look at third downs, 6 for 10, 60% converted for New Orleans. And for New York, just 1 for 8 on third downs, only 12%. As they struggle on third down, but they were still able to keep in this game. And on fourth down, both teams were 100%. The Saints went for it once. The Giants went for it twice. Total net yards, 614 for the Saints, 416 for the Giants. These two teams combined for 1,030 total yards in this game of offense. That's crazy. Net rushing yards, 103 for New Orleans, 87 for New York. And through the air, net passing, 511 yards for the Saints. And net for the Giants, 329. Eli sacked 3 times for a total of 21 yards lost. Then you look at the penalties. A lot of penalties for the Saints. That's what kept the Giants in this game, especially with their troubles on third downs. But the penalties for New Orleans, 12 penalties, 93 penalty yards, 6 penalties against the Giants, 53 penalty yards. Both teams fumbled the ball twice and lost it each once. Let me look at the red zone, and in the red zone, both teams were perfect. 4 for 4 for New York, 2 for 2 for New Orleans. So it wasn't necessarily about the red zone, as they were airing it out quite a bit. But the time of possession, 34 minutes and 59 seconds for the Saints, 25 minutes and 1 second for the Giants. But this one, they're calling it the duel at the Dome, as they were just airing it out. Two of the better gunslingers to ever play the game, really. These guys both have won Super Bowls. They're both really on their way to, I'd say Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer, and I think that you could make the argument for Eli as well, although he's still got plenty of football left to play. But just a crazy game. And now after this one, both of these teams are now 4-4 on the season. The Giants 1-3 on the road, and the Saints 3-1 at home. So the Saints getting it done at home, as they now are playing better in New Orleans. They lost their first game at home this year, but they've won 3 straight at home now. And they're actually in their last, I think they won 4 out of their last 5 games. So the Saints, they just would not go down. This one was just a freaking crazy battle of bombs. They were just airing it out. Big plays left and right from both teams. And it was a matter of, like, you just was any offense, who was going to stop scoring, who was going to be able to stop somebody. And we did have a couple of turnovers, and you had some pressure from the Saints defense. Eli was under pressure. Give him credit for what he was doing there. The Saints come away with the crazy victory in a crazy game, which saw both teams just putting up lots of points, as they really put up some big numbers. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend and enjoyed all the sports.